Welcome back. We're in our Sublime text editor, and if you followed the instructions in the previous lesson, you would have not only downloaded the text editor, you would have seen some of the basics as we typed code in here. This is our source code, our HTML source code, and then we move across to our browser on the other side where you can see that source code interpreted and displayed in a browser page. So what we want to look at now is just some of the basics around the tags and how the tagging works. Now, if you recall, this is HTML, so the most important tag, or the first tag you've got to have is what? That's right, HTML. So you just type HTML, and then you press tab, the tab button, and immediately it produces what we refer to as the skeleton. So if you recall in our previous lesson, we said this is our skeleton. It's made up of these HTML tags, HTML opening tag, and HTML closing tag, and various others. So we're going to have a little look around some of these tags and briefly explain the tags that we've got here. And then we're going to look at some tags that allow you to do some basic formatting, just so you get a little feel for how this works.
Okay, to start with, as you know, we've got our head and we've got our body. So the head, generally, all you put in there really is like your title for your website, whatever, if it's
so you
do something.
I mean, if you go and look at the moment, our website is all it's got is the title that's sitting here inside the tab is what we called it, our-web-site.html. That's not very exciting.
So if we go inside the actual title, you'll see we can name that specific tab. So like, as you know, if you go on YouTube or Google, you instantly know where it is because it says whatever YouTube or Google. So now when we save this and we go back to refresh it, we see
a cool website that I made.
Yeah.
So notice that's different. There is the actual HTML name, our website.html, but this here is the title, which is obviously far more useful. It's also helpful, this title, for your search engines. So when they start to search for things around what your website is called, this helps when it comes to the search engine being easier able to identify you. There are other things that can go under head. It's typically metadata about your site. Metadata means data about the data. It's other things that can explain your site. We're not going to look at it at the moment. So at the moment, all you're really interested in is title. And that's the only thing that you've got to put inside this first part, which is head. And so that brings us to the next part, which is now our body.
Okay, so this is like we can name our site or whatever, and like all the stuff we have in the site, like we know pages that have lots of content and all of that kind of stuff. We'll go first through, like if we just said hello, we'll notice when we save this, of course,
it's going to look beautiful.
It's going to look very small.
And very uninteresting.
We can go over these different ones. So we can go over H1, hit tab.
Okay, so now what these are H1, H2, and H3, and etc. We're going to have a look at. These are header types. So it's basically saying, okay, I would like to put a piece of text and I want it to be header type 1.
Okay, so we can type.
Yeah, so let's call it header 1 so you can actually see an example of what that looks like.
We'll just do one more, so we'll do H2 for now.
Hit tab.
A tab.
Okay, and let's call this one now header 2. So now we're going to see these are special tags that have been formatted and HTML recognizes them. So immediately you see what's happened. Header 1 is a large tag, so you're getting a large heading, and header 2 is a slightly smaller one.
Okay, so with HTML, it goes all the way down to H6, which is the
smallest. Well, let's give that one a try. So H6, hit tab, and let us type in header 6 and save it. Go across to our browser, refresh, reload it, and then we've got a little minchky, tiny little fella in there.
Okay, some more things that we've got beyond header is if we go here and we just type in B, we tab it in.
That sounds for brilliant, I bet.
Okay, so it's for
brilliant.
Bold. So
bold.
If we want to make some text bold, so if we just say...
Well, let's type bold, so that...
bold.
Bold. Be bold. Be bold. Bold. Be bold. Here we go.
Okay, so we'll type something next to it again. Bold. And we won't put this in any tags. You'll just see the difference. So we save that. Refresh it. We can see.
Okay, so notice two things that are important if you've got very noticeable little eyes. The first is, you'll notice this one is in bold and that one is not in bold. That is exactly how we said here. This one sits inside of the tags, B and close B. This one does not. But you might have expected this to be on the next line. Notice here, it's not on the next line. Okay, understand, remember, and we mentioned this in an earlier session. We'll show you how to put things on separate lines later. But this is not a layout. The fact that I could even stick another line in there, I could stick some spaces in front of that, save it, go across here. What do you think it's going to look like when I hit refresh? Come on, take a guess. What do you think it's going to look like? I just changed it. I moved it down another line. I've moved it across. Actually, I'll move it right the way across. So now it should actually come directly after that, but a few rows later. Okay, save. What's it going to look like? Exactly the same. Nothing changed. You'll notice nothing changed, even though I saved it and refreshed it, because this is not a formatting space. It's not what I mentioned. It is not a WYSIWYG environment. So that makes absolutely no difference. So all the formatting is done by the tags. The tags are very important. And in fact, if you want to just get an idea of how many tags there are, if you press the opening bracket, it'll immediately bring up all the tags, and there are loads and loads and loads and loads of tags. And so you can obviously choose, and we were looking at the bold tag, and you can see the different header tags, so I could choose it just like that. So that's another way of doing it, and it will choose the tag for you. So there we've got like a header 4 in, save that, go back, have a look, and we've got header 4.
Okay, so hopefully you've learned a lot about tags and the body and where you put all of this kind of stuff, and go explore, try it yourself, go through it, lots of the tags. You'll notice many of them won't do anything unless you do something very specific. So you can try these tags H1B. These are all directly changed to text. They make your website look different. So go play around, have some fun, see what you
and also mess up. This is how you're going to learn, and we encourage making mistakes when you're doing stuff, because we all make mistakes, and it's okay. So I mean, maybe you're looking to do a bold tag or something, and you do that, and you say, okay, this is going to be bold, and you hit save, and it's so exciting because that last thing is going to be in bold. And you happen to go across and have a look, and it isn't bold, but not for the reasons that you thought, because if you look carefully, you haven't closed the bold tag here, and what's going to happen is that everything that comes thereafter is still going to be in bold, even though you think it's finished. Now, that's why it's very important to see that your tags open and close, and that tag there has not been closed. So it should have a closing, a /B and close, and that is correct. So have fun, mess around, do your thing. Ultimately, it's all about having fun, making mistakes, whatever. Right, go do it.